Okay, so this is gonna be my stuff going on in the background, and I'm probably gonna talk about some RPGMaker stuff in this one. Um, but yeah, this is I don't know if I've showcased any parts of the Pet World game before, so this would be something that you would start with, like something like this rather, where you'd be able to find a bucket and fill the bucket up with water and seeds. Oh, apparently even told myself that it was a test item. But, oh, I think I drank the water. Well, I can get more water, so I'll take a mushroom. Where this is mostly just a test space for now. But I want that area to be sort of customizable, so we'll get to that eventually. For now, just gonna, and I have test timers in right now, so this happens basically immediately, but in the game those timers probably be a little bit longer, so you actually have to check in from time to time, but I'll just get a few of these for now. And I might have more options at this area later, but for now it's just gonna, I have some, I don't know if I'm gonna use that system or not. I kinda like it the way it is now, but, and then each of these squares I can't actually walk on them. I don't know what it says when you interact with them. But, once you've interacted with them the first time, you're going to receive, well, once I hatched each of those eggs, that's what came out, this little gray blob, but I turned one of them into its next stage by interacting with its placeholder character on this screen, so that's something that would be, whether or not I'm going to have this tiny of an area, or if all 8 of them are going to have their own, maybe something of like a shrine and altar that can make them exist. But once you have all 3 and they're all wandering around your island, there are quite a few different options for things that they can evolve into. Our first guy looks something of like a cat or a fox. He's kind of orangey, or, well, I guess if he's earth metal, he's brown, but on my screen it looks kind of orangey. It might be the purple background, I'm not quite sure. That's just making it look orangey. Oh, I got 2 earth metal guys, so that's kind of silly, but there'll be 6 different elements that you can have, and this is only showcasing 2 of them, so maybe I'll go hatch another couple of the eggs just so you can see. But it looks like I got a good mix of different other things that the because each of the little things that are born will randomize for what types of sort of like animals maybe that they could be, so we'll see what our little gray blobs turned into for these 2 characters. But these 3 are all different animals, air quotes. So those are the first 3. Oh, and we got a plant bird, so that's only 2 of the types. What were the chances of getting 2 birds and 2 that are earth and 2 that are metal? But, and here's a water ice type, so No idea from these two, the green one and the blue one, so far, what they're going to turn into at that stage, because there are a few other animals that have that just plain circle as a base. So I guess I'll just go out, and there is like a tiny bit of town at this stage. And if you want to go out into the woods, we have to go through a silly outpost. If you try to walk through, we get yelled at because you have to sign in at the front desk. So we're going to pay the money and get through. And if I went back through, I'll have to sign in again. So each time you come out, we're trying to make money a little bit more useful in this game. So there are, just administrative uses for it here and there. But other than that, there probably won't be too many different pieces of equipment that you'll have to buy over and over. So money will just kind of be, as in most games, just one of those like, oh, I have all this money. You'll have to buy things for the plot here and there. So if you're the type of person who skips through battles as much as possible, you'll still probably end up with enough money for all the clerical purposes. But other than that, if you want certain types of equipment, it will not really hurt you. You'll probably end up with extra, so you'll be able to do whatever, buy whatever. I don't remember if I've showcased any parts of this game or not, so my bad if it's already out there in one of the today's. I don't know, let's see, 29 experience. I haven't been paying attention to how much they get per battle, but just kind of play through the first like 15 minutes so you can kind of see what you'd be in for and I started myself with all the items for playtesting, so of course in the beginning of the game you might not start with all the things that you need in order to just get going, but I wanted to skip some of the beginning blah blah blah, running around and trying to be like, what are eggs? What do eggs do? Monsters? And we just have a lot of the standard enemies in for now, so nothing too crazy unique for things that are seen in RPGMaker. I might make monster sprites at some point. Depends on how much time I have for that, and if I can come up with ideas for different things. So here we had to purchase an entry pass, like a day pass at the zoo. Oh, might as well purchase this climbing permit. Feel like it might come in handy. This person sells eggs. I have 88. That's excessive. Guard warding me. Do they all say the same thing? Those two do at least. Stay safe. I guess we're still at level 1. I don't know if the enemies in this area are any more powerful than the ones in the forest area, but oh, we finally all 4 of us got to level 2 at the same time, so let's see. So he goes into a bigger cat. or eared thing, fox. Sometimes you have to use it twice. Look, he's gonna be a little lizard dude. So cute. And then bird into a somewhat bigger bird. Alright, so yeah, and I still think that this guy looks, the guy with the ears, he looks kind of orangey. So it's possible there's a mistake with the sprites, and the fire cat fox sprite was transposed with the earth metal sprite, so I might have to look into that in further playtesting, but as far as some of the other things go for playtesting, that's pretty good. That, you know, just being able to acquire these guys works. Their squares back on their silly little island work. Have those avatars appear on the island that after you talk to them will just wander around. And I plan to have either further evolutions, you'll have to talk to them after like a certain point, or maybe that's just for evolution 6 or whatever, but you'll be able to go and talk to those avatars in order to communicate or feed or whatever that you might want to do that would be interacting with these characters. Where it's possible that I could add an extra thing on the menu. I'd probably have to make some kind of script for that, which I could do, where you could do a lot of that in the menu as well. Feeding. Okay, some of them are missing HP, because sometimes you can't give things items. Could be as easy. Okay, those don't have HP attached to them at all, so couldn't really see. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use the levels for hunger and sleep meters that I have right now in the game already. I might not use that exact script because I ran into a few issues. So I might either end up making my own or seeing if there's another one. Somebody had some kind of like meter gauge script that looks pretty promising, so I'm going to try out theirs first. If not, I might have to make my own that'll do exactly what I want it to do. So, but yeah, that's something else that might be part of the game, and that your little pets here can starve to death or whatever as you're going along. But that'll be another thing to add in later. Other than that, I think I displayed probably most of the features that would be in this one. This would be one of the levels here that you would get to wander around. You'll have your pets to battle with, and they can evolve to different stages. So there will be something of like a story that the main character will go through, and each of the levels that you can go to will have some kind of story that you'll like be able to progress through, like, and probably would have 4 or 5 different levels within this level. That over time, maybe like only the first 1 or 2 levels would be unlocked for you to explore. So there would be like maybe this beginning, the checkpoint area would be considered like the first level, and these foothills up there that we haven't quite gotten to even would be considered like the second level. Like as if it was an old game, and you had areas that would be considered like parts of a level for like, this is the platforming part of this level, and things like that. So you just kind of have different parts of it like that, and as you like get further into each level, there would be more story, different like items to find, harder enemies, of course, people who don't just all say the same thing, you know, different things like that, just as you go through. And then you might have to, if you want to get past the second level of each stage, you're gonna have to beat a boss or something in each one, and then wander through the forest and find something that makes the world change, and all of a sudden you can get to the third and fourth level, yay. So might end up being something like that. And yay, now we're in what would be like the second level, and the enemies get harder and probably are gonna kill me, but you know, we're already pretty much at the end of the video. I pretty much showcased and got through everything. You can see this is probably at a good demo phase as well. Because I think I have 3 worlds that, well, 2 of them are completely done. Aside from a bit of eventing for later stages, but I wouldn't need to have that done right away, especially just for a demo where you'd probably only get through the first couple levels and several of the levels anyway. For a demo, I'd probably just want to be able to add more evolutions before throwing you out there, because I think I only have 3 as of yet, so, and there's just a different way to get to each one. So obviously, like, you hatch an egg to get the initial like little gray blob of a monster, and then once you go talk to whatever spirit thing that is a placeholder for the characters on the island, they would change into whatever they're going to be. Okay, I did leave formation open for playtesting. Whether they're a little green bird or just, you know, a blue blob or several other colors, to turn into different animal monsters that you can have. So you can, I mean, if you mess up and one dies, then you'll be able to start over with one of, like, if I kill my little green lizard, Perry, then he gets a second chance at being something else. So you can just go revive it, or hatch another egg, rather, under its name, and you'll get a chance at getting something different. So if you decide that you hate plant poison and you want nothing to do with that type, then you can keep trying for more earth metal guys, or I think we have fire, light, ice, water, shades, sound, and wind, electric as our types. So if you want a certain color or a certain type or a certain type of animal, you can just keep over time just trying to get that one. And then the intention is to, throughout the game, you'll be able to unlock different islands that'll allow you to get different sets of these little guys, and you would get maybe like 4 to 8 more of these like names that are just a placeholder for character 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you would be able to have more monsters, and they would be monsters that had different options for what they could be, other than the 6 or 8 type of animals that are in the game right now. but that probably won't make it into the demo phase. I'll probably have 4 or 5 evolutions out of the 7 or 8 that I'm going to include, and probably only 2 or 3 levels that you can explore, and only the first 2 parts of it. So that's probably where I'm gonna cut it, and a lot of the story will probably be condensed, because that'll take a lot more work to get everything into it, especially past the 2nd level for each world. That would be a lot more story to add in, so over time I can put out more pieces, more updates, but for now I'll probably just do a demo that won't get updated for a long time, and once I have a pretty solid release ready, I'll probably end up posting that on Steam, so that'll be something for my image of all those pet raising games that are out there that you liked some of the features but maybe not all of them. So certain ones where you feel like you're either not exactly wandering around doing nothing, but the pet raising gimmick is too limited and you want just more things that you can do with them. Because some games did it really well, where you only are playing the game at certain stages of it for that one pet raising part, whether it's different Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, where you're just sitting there with your little blubby companions, breeding and racing them for hours before you realize, oh, I only got an ultimate chaos because I sat here for over 40 hours with this little guy. Or Tamagotchi, where I basically could never get the final forms before it would die, and I always took good care of them. Or so I thought. Apparently I was doing something wrong. But I guess there were different versions of Tamagotchi, where certain ones were harder to get, or basically impossible. So, I'm not bitter about it at all. But things like Harvest Moon, where your animals had a little bit more care, similar to real life, was something that I thought was missing from something like Pokemon, or where you're just kind of on your quest and their evolutions were way too limited, so once you got to the 3rd stage with something, it was basically over for them unless they had a super move at level 60. But did you want to train them to level 60? Sometimes, especially if you had already beaten the game and you could just fly to some crazy place with really high leveled enemies to fight. The Digimon World games were all phenomenal, and I basically have no complaints, except in Digimon World 1, when your best friend that you had raised for hours died. It was always kind of heart-wrenching, but you still had the excitement of, I get to raise a new friend. But in this case, you'll have multiple pets, where you only got one in that one, so that was something that was different about Digimon World 2, where you had multiple friends, they never really died, but once you fused them with another one, that one was really gone, so it just depended on Digimon that you liked and not, or if you had a goal. Sometimes you had to go through a couple stages of Digimon that you really hated, although they got to retain their same attacks that they would learn, as you trained them through their levels again. But sometimes you got stuck with a Digimon you didn't want. So that is something that in this, having them be able to die on you is something that if it's a pet that's become your best friend, it's one of those you just shut off the game and you don't play for a week because you're so sad. Like if your ultimate Chaos Chow dies in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. But, no. If, they do die, you have the chance to start over with something fresh, or you can just go back to another save and maybe undo your mistake. If it's something that you wanted to keep, or if you end up getting one that isn't one that you wanted, then you can try again. And yeah, so that's just something where you'll be able to have quite a few options and have more of an intricate where you can really focus in on raising your monsters and training them up to different evolutions, giving them different gear. Sort of like in Digimon World 3, like the gear and the stats were insane, and if you wanted certain Digimon, you could get them with any Digimon. It wasn't very limited, so there was like a way to get anywhere, and the equipment was just endless. So some of the like rare items you could find were phenomenal, and it was just interesting. So if I am able to add a lot of equipment, I would like to. I just would have to find a pretty good system for that. So more stuff that I'll probably add over time, but this is just an intro to the project I jokingly titled Pet World 3 with 4 exclamation points. And there might be a demo out pretty soon. Maybe this week, maybe next week. We'll see. Hope you enjoyed.